Farm for Profit Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm for Profit Podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm for Profit Podcast.
And listeners, welcome back to the Farm for Profit Podcast. You know what that sound is. That is a Farm for Fun episode. We're excited to have you here and be a part of it. Today's episode is brought to you by Pattern Ag, predicting pest and pathogen risk in your fields. Don't gamble with your yields. Go to www.pattern.ag today. Why don't you ever say that?
Because you don't let me. You just go with it. I was going to say it, and you just went. Like, I like to say it.
It's like, why don't you ever choose where we go to eat?
You wouldn't even let me get lunch today, so I
brought you chips and salsa. I know you just had
with a
chips
spoon
to get the salsa out of the jar.
You just dump it out of the jar.
Oh, and make a big mess of things.
You have some
See,
salsa
that's
soup
why
or
I can't
what?
let you say the Pattern Ag commercial just to make a mess of things. Anyway, listeners, thank you. This is a pleasure that you choose to listen to us. Farm for Fun's different than Farm for Profit. We're going to interview a killer, a stellar, a one-of-a-kind guest today in this episode, and we're looking forward to having a lot of fun with that. But we don't get here without your help, so please share this with your friends and family. Please hit subscribe. Go over to YouTube and leave us some comments.
Yeah. It's always good to get interaction, especially when you guys leave us a review.
That's
Today's
right.
review is from TikTok at SWMN, so Southwest Minnesota, Farmer87.
The 87th one. Or do you
Just
think
like
that's
Farmer
the year
Dan
he was
87.
born? Yeah. Maybe he was born
Or
in
97
87.
or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Says, I love the podcast. Short, sweet, 4 words, love it. I can read it perfectly. Love
We
it.
love people who love the podcast.
Yep.
And we also love having awesome guests. Are you ready to introduce our guest for today?
I am.
We're going to go back to a steady. We know that this free music is good.
Okay, yeah, you know. This is your song.
Yeah.
Nice royalty-free intro music.
Yeah.
Gotta wait for the beat to drop, though. I want one that drops right away.
I can't.
That's kind
you're
of
asking for a lot.
Right. Oh, this is good. Ladies and gentlemen, farming enthusiasts and fashion aficionados, gather around as we bring you an electrifying alliance of the digital and agriculture worlds. Making her way to the podcast studio, weighing in at an unstoppable fusion of farming wisdom and Western clothing stardom, the lady who's plowing through social media with tractor-sized charisma, hailing from South Dakota. Put your hands together for Reagan, the real-life Hannah Montana Beaver Riley.
Oh, that was good.
Oh my gosh.
I
This
have
is
a
like
confession to make. AI wrote that intro. That is not my intro. So, like, if you like that intro and you want ChatGPT to write that, we're toying around with some stuff. There you go. How about it?
Oh my gosh. That's so funny because I've been on another podcast before and like the whole Hannah Montana thing is like every single time. Anytime I go to the city and like travel and tell people what I do, everyone's like, oh my gosh, you are like the real life Hannah Montana. And I don't know if it's because of the blonde hair or just that I literally do 2 things that just don't seem like they should mesh.
I got to look this up. Who is Hannah Montana?
You don't know who Hannah Montana is?
No.
Are you? Whoa, time out. You don't know who Hannah Montana
I
is?
don't think so. Was that... Because
Time out. It's Miley Cyrus.
Okay, that's what I was picturing, but I was thinking Miley Cyrus. I didn't
Came in
realize
like a wrecking ball?
Yes, I know who Miley Cyrus is. I didn't realize she was Hannah Montana.
Yeah. It's just Hannah Montana on drugs.
Oh, that is funny.
Wow. Okay.
Welcome, Regan.
Reagan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Corey introduced you via ChatGPT and got a lot more surface level. It was not detailed. So we don't know where you're from. We don't know what you do.
Yeah.
We just know you look like Hannah Montana.
I live in north central South Dakota. I pretty much am a full-time farmer now, which was not something I planned to come back and do. I'm the oldest of 3 girls, so I kind of always joke that I was made to be the son of the family, you know, because none of my sisters were ever like forced to go sit in the tractor and roll at a young age or anything like that. Only me. And so I think it just got like pushed into me at a young age to like the point that I was like, oh, I'm definitely never coming back to farm. Like my senior year, I finished up high school in the grain cart early, so all on mine. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to college and I am never coming back. And yeah, so then college came. I worked in the marketing industry for a while, and then COVID hit. And so I was kind of like, oh, I'll go sit in the tractor. We were breaking some ground at that time. And I was like, oh, I'll just go, after hours and go do that and get my little fix. And then it kind of slowly turned into, hey, can you go pull the pivot out on your lunch hour? Or, hey, can you go do this or can you like clock out early and go do this? And so it eventually got to the point where my dad's like, okay, either you're going to come back and farm or I'm renting everything out.
Ooh.
And so
Whoa.
at that point, I was like, okay. And I really wasn't super happy like working in marketing at that point. And so I was like, you know what? I will come back and farm. And so then this is where it starts. He's like, all right, we will just spray. You will just spray and we'll just like, have everything else hired out. You'll just help, do shop work, things like that. And I'm not even joking. I think 2, maybe 3 weeks later, a combine shows up in August. And so he's like, oh yeah, we'll just we'll go if the custom harvesters can't get to like some of the stuff that needs to be combined at that point. And so I was like, okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, no. That then all of a sudden turned into a new Drago head was showing up. And then this was showing up. And so then he's like, well, we got to combine this many acres to pay for this head. And so then it just, from there on, it went over the bridge. Yeah. So now I do everything. I spread fertilizer, spray, we seed, and we combine all our own stuff. So that was within like a 2-year, 3-year period that we just kind of went off the rail from that beginning.
So is your dad still involved?
Yes, it is basically like full time. It's me, my mom, and my dad. My dad's a quadriplegic, so he is not able to like operate any machinery. And my mom is also his full-time caregiver. So she is like by far the best mechanic. Like we have some other weekend guys that kind of help out and stuff. But this woman, I swear she can do anything. YouTube, and that is it. She is like the best mechanic in the world. Best truck driver. I will not spray with anybody else. I will not let anybody else fill my chemical, just her. So yeah, so it's pretty much her and I, during these kind of spraying months, but we do have other guys that do truck and do help us seed and on our harvest crew in the fall. So
wow, she brushed right. Oh, am I on mute? Oh, I just am quiet. You kind of brushed right over the fact that your dad's a quadriplegic.
Yeah, he had an accident when I was in, I think, second grade. I was going into second grade. And so from then on, he did still continue to farm after that. But in the aspect of hiring, all your seeding, all of it done. And he is very much a numbers guy, very business minded guy. So yeah, he still continued to farm because in his mind, that is how he wanted to be able to continue to provide for his family. And so I think a lot of my motivation and inspiration and like feeling like I can run a boutique, I can farm, I can do social media, all kind of stems from growing up and seeing that, like there are no limitations to life. And so I think that's why I feel like I can do so much, even though I probably burn myself out a lot of the time. But yeah, so he is still very much the brains of the operation. He does all the buying and selling of equipment and doing all the grain, like marketing grain, and yeah, all of that, buying seed, sitting through seed meetings. So I'm pretty much just like the hands and the operator. I'm the one that has to know all like the technical stuff. But he does all of that, and which is also nice because in the like if we're like in the field or something and something breaks down, it's a lot easier to call him and say like, hey, can you find this part number? And then we can just call the parts people with the part number, and then there's no like guessing or saying like, oh well, it could be this one or it could be this one, and then you drive 30 minutes into town and you come back and it's not the right one. So that has saved us a lot of time and headache, honestly.
Nice. See, my dad's not a how can I say that?
You've
Quadriplegic.
been drinking water, too.
I have been drinking water. I haven't even had a drink of beer yet. He's not, but I will actually kind of put some of those same tasks on him because he's not physically able to do some of the hard labor anymore. Mm-hmm. So, but he wants to be very involved in the farm. So I'll give him tasks like that. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. I can't believe how shocked I was, and I shouldn't have been, at the comments you said about your mom, just how versatile and how expert she is in some of the roles on the farm as well.
Yeah, I will say that woman has punched her heaven card, if not a million times over. She puts up with a lot. My dad is very much still in the growth mindset for the farm. So, when new bins, all of a sudden, he's like, hey, Sarah, you need to fill out this paperwork. So she does all the book work too. So, and she takes care of him because he has no movement from his shoulders down. So she takes care of him, does book work, still drives truck, and is out in the field helping when we need. And like I said, this woman literally does it all. She is an angel on earth. I will admit that.
Yeah, it sounds like a saint. I think of just like the definition of love.
Yeah.
Right there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You mentioned punched her card to heaven. That's another thing that you like to showcase. You put at least very clearly in your social media profile that religion is important to you and to your family.
Oh, absolutely. So with I don't think religion and like my faith was as strong as it truly is now. When my dad did have his accident, they didn't know how he like survived. They ended up having to put him in an MRI machine because like both arteries to your brain are severed. We don't know how you're alive right now. So they actually put him in, and they found out that he was born like with a third artery to the brain.
Wow.
Very, very, spooky thing. And yeah, from then on, it was kind of like, okay, well, obviously you're here for a reason, and you made it out so for some odd reason that I think little things like that have just like added up over time. Like with, I got pregnant with my daughter at 18, and I don't know where I would be. I was very much in the partying stage of life, and I really didn't take life as seriously as I do now. And I wasn't as, I would say, risk-taking in like business endeavors. And I really didn't know who I was or as confident as I am in myself if I wouldn't have had her. Be without her. Things like that just seem to keep adding up over time. That just seemed to like build my faith. We're still sometimes we do still struggle like any other person when you're breaking down in the field at 10 o'clock at night and you only have 30 acres left, and you're like, oh my gosh. Come on. So, your faith is still tested pretty much every day. But yes, very, very strong in my faith. I, like my dad said, we made these logos, Farming with Faith. And instead of putting, like our names on the side of our equipment and our trucks, we printed out these logos and put it all over our equipment. So
is that like the name? Is that like the tagline of the farm, or is that like the name of the farm now?
No, so my personal, I farm also like grain. So my dad and I kind of have separate things going on that we crop share and stuff. So mine is Farming with Faith, but it was 100% his idea to do it. So I kind of just stole it when I needed to make an LLC. So.
And do you sell these?
I do. I have a farming tea line that I excuse me. I started this last winter kind of as a project. And yeah, so I sell like farm teas. I have like a farm tea subscription box, and yeah, and I sell them with this logo on them.
So for those that can't see, since this is a podcast, some people see it on YouTube.
They
or
need to go to
TikTok.
YouTube. Yeah.
It is it's a blue sweatshirt. I'm sure it comes in multiple colors, but it's a tractor hooked to a big cross. It's farming with faith. The with faith is in between the tractor and the cross. It's pretty cool.
And so it's like hooked up to the cross, and
Yep.
it was completely his idea. He had my mom sketch it out on some paper, and he wanted them printed, and that was like my project the winter before. I made that logo for the farm. So yeah, it's been really cool.
Very cool. So should we just talk about the boutique since we're right there? How do people go buy this?
So this is actually on my boutique. It's under the cactusbrand.com. It is definitely not a farming, I would say, like based boutique, because when I did start my boutique, I was very heavily into the rodeo world. So that is kind of where it's more Western based than I would say farm based. So I started that when I was 17, when I had gotten done with high school, and then my dad's like, either you get a job or you find something to do. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna start this boutique thing, and it started off as t-shirts, and I did all vinyl t-shirts up until 2021, and I finally outsourced everything because my weekends and with farming and all of that, it just does not work trying to get orders out in like a timely fashion. So
Wow.
Time out. Did you see that outside?
I did. Yeah.
A guy with huge wheels on his truck that were like spaced out and a dump trailer full of crap, and the cop was pulling him over.
Yeah, that was a bad afternoon for that guy. But I can't believe that you started your boutique at age 17. I mean, is fashion a focus of yours, a desire, a fun thing? Where did that come from?
I think it was just more of a creative outlet at the time. I've always been very into like being on social media and creating content, and just creating in general. And so my parents had bought me a silhouette. It's like where you can cut vinyl, and a heat press for Christmas. Just kind of like as something to have. And from there, I just started pressing them onto like blank shirts that I had. And from there, I was just like, okay, well, people are asking me about them. I'm just going to start posting them. And by this time, I had already done some collaborations with companies, so I'd kind of known how to market it myself. So that is honestly where it just started. With t-shirts. That's all it was t-shirts for the longest time, up until probably 2 years ago, and I added some more like jackets and jeans and accessories. So it just started out as t-shirts, and it was just supposed to kind of be that. It just kind of kept going. So I don't know.
So this is the cactusbrand.co.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, these are good.
Oh, I'm
You're gonna see some of these.
You're gonna
Tanner.
make me look it
Roping
up.
necks, cashing checks.
What's the connection to rodeo? Were you or are you involved in rodeo?
I was in high school. I decided to give up basketball, and I got horses, and my cousin got me involved. And from there, I just became like super obsessed. And the whole reason I kind of saw the gap with the t-shirts was like they weren't making things for like smaller rodeo events like goat tying and breakaway roping, like these smaller events that aren't on like the PRCA level, like they weren't back then. And so I just found this little void, and that is just kind of how it had started. And after I had my daughter, I obviously didn't really rodeo anymore. Once you have a child, it's kind of hard to find balance. But I ended up going into the rodeo scene further with like my marketing because I was working for a roping dummy company. And so I was working more on the professional level. So one, marketing with this company, marketing their products, but then also managing their sponsor team. So like I would go out to Vegas for 12 days and manage like autograph signings and like lining up photo shoots. So I was still very much in the rodeo industry, I just not at a competition type level.
Gotcha.
So is that a real brand?
What brand?
The Cactus Brand. Doesn't that look like a brand?
Like on the hat?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be. I don't know.
You got to register that.
It is trademarked. I don't have it registered as like a brand because when I got married, my husband is a Red Angus cattle rancher, but I told him when we got married, absolutely do not ask me to do anything cattle related. That is where I draw the line. So, yeah, we don't brand any of our cattle. So, yeah, I don't know if I'd technically probably registered as a cattle brand, but yeah, no, it was like just an idea I had, and I had this graphic designer girl just in college, and I like kind of drawn it out and told her what I had wanted, and she crafted it up for me, and that was kind of it. I don't even know why I thought it was cool at the time, or yeah.
I got to get Corey a set of these Pendleton swim trunks.
They look like boxers from this far away.
They make your eyes go crazy. You wouldn't have to hide anything.
She got everything. She got shoes. Man, all the hats are sold out. That's like what I would get.
I know. I'm trying to restock. Like it's a lot of my the time that I spent really on my boutique is in the winter because I don't put the pressure on myself
Right.
with farming during these times of the month because I do understand that farming kind of does come first in my life. So a lot of like the systems and stuff I set up as far as like marketing and outsourcing, my stuff to be shipped so I don't have to ship anything. All of those things I kind of set up and revamp in the wintertime so that things can kind of run as smoothly as they can in like these summer, spring, fall months.
There's
so
some days that I need a sports bra.
This is.
Oh,
this
they
is
got rompers for you,
fascinating.
Tanner.
I should rock a romper. I should.
Time out though. Have we ever talked about rompers? Like, how do you go to the bathroom at when you're at a concert and it's just porta potties? Like
It's all gotta come down.
everything is on the floor, right?
Oh, yeah. And I am now 30 weeks pregnant, and I made the mistake of doing this while traveling recently. And it even had a little tie, and yeah, no. Pregnancy, rompers, traveling, not the mix.
Or I can't imagine you have one of those emergencies I got to go to the bathroom now, and you're just trying to peel this thing off of your whole body. Oh my gosh. So glad we don't do that, Tanner.
Oh, see, I clicked on the bibs tab thinking it was going to be bib overalls.
Oh,
no,
there's a good idea for you.
They're baby bibs.
Yes, all sorts of stuff. I've kind of branched in every which avenue kind of lately experimenting. So
Yeah, that's fun. Well, I want to take a break here, and then I'm going to come back to the 30 weeks pregnant comment after we play a game with you. We're going to try something different.
oh boy.
There is a game that we discovered from a listener called No Middle Ground.
Ooh.
So it means basically it's an either or. You got to pick one or the other. Do you think you're up for it?
Okay. I will do my best. Because I'm one of those people in those games where I will circle or. So.
Yeah, or
Well, the first one's a little wild. Do trees live underground and use the above ground piece like a snorkel? Or do they live above ground and wear the earth like shoes?
Oh boy.
where did you find this?
I think I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the first one.
Snorkel.
I mean, just thinking from like a plant, you know, like we test our soil a lot and are always looking at root health. So I think I'm just going to go that way just for the sole fact that that is hard. We're going to go with the first one.
It is a hard one.
What do you think?
I think I would go. I think I would go with the trees wearing shoes. I don't know if I necessarily like the shoes part of it, but like, you know, because like when we're looking at trees and flowers and plants, the only thing that we know on a daily basis is what's above ground. So that's kind of how I think of the plant.
Yeah.
But she's right in the aspect of like, I mean, without the root system, the tree's not there.
It's not living.
I don't know.
All right, we'll try another one here. The thermostat. Right? The thermostat.
Yep.
Everybody's device of contempt, maybe, in some households.
Yep.
Is it a device used for controlling the happiness of others, or how much you invest in self-comfort? Does it control the happiness of others, or is it how much you invest in self-comfort?
I'm going to say the happiness of others, due to the fact that if I do touch it, my husband automatically knows. So, you know, most of the time I use it as a way to keep him happy, but lately, you know, it's about me. I'm carrying a baby. It's about me right now.
I was going to say,
I will crank it every which way I want right now.
usually the husband's supposed to, you know, I can't even say that anymore. But, like, that's the thing. Like, right, the husband's like, no, we can't spend the money or whatever. Sure. And the wife's like, no, hotter or colder or whatever. And that's how it is. But not how it is. The wife in my house picks it, and I try to punch it up, and she's like, no. But it's a happiness, and it's an investment, because it's an investment in her happiness. That's so true. There you go.
That's true. I keep going back to Jacqueline Wilson that we interviewed. It sets her house
58 degrees.
58.
Year-round, 58 degrees.
Gosh.
So it's 58 in the winter and it's 58 in the summer. She is investing in self-comfort, not the happiness of others.
Well, I mean, and she's the only one in there, so it's just it's just her.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. We fight between like 68 and 70, 71. I could never imagine going that low.
I'm pretty sure mine's on 67 right now, and then she'll be in like full sweatpants and sweatshirt in the summer. I'm like, get out of here.
God, that's good. Is happiness having more or the ability to enjoy less?
Ooh, I would say, oh gosh. What was the first one again?
Having more.
Like
having more happiness or like having more like stuff?
Just having more.
Ooh. I'm going to say having more, but in the aspect of, you know, you might have more time.
Yeah. And
you might have more abilities to go do more experiences.
I like that.
So I'm going to go with more.
I think I like that. I also can make a plea for the other one because as I've gotten older and I've moved several times, I do and start cleaning out like your grandparents' house and all that, and you realize how much junk is collected over time. Mm-hmm. Like I'm throwing things away or selling things. Like having less makes me happy as well.
Oh, that's funny.
Yep.
All right, last one, and I think it will kind of lead us into a way to transition into a story that I've been experiencing this week. Does social media exist for you to be able to connect with others or for others to stay connected with you?
Ooh, I would say connect with others because personally, I live in a very small town now. Before I lived in a lot bigger town before I moved back here. And I would say just trying to find like a solid community, like people that are very like minded, kind of like I said, I do a lot. And I know I do a lot. Like there's not a lot of moms that, you know, venture outside of being like the housewife or like the farm wife. And so trying to find other women like-minded like me, like trying to do a little bit more or have like these bigger goals and aspirations as far as just wanting to better themselves, it's really hard to find a community, especially in a small town. So I would say for me, it is being able to connect with others. So
Yeah,
You?
I would agree. I would agree. It's my ability to do other. I mean, why do people want to keep up with me? I like to keep up with other people.
Right. I'm awful. I shouldn't say awful, but I'm not very good at keeping up with others, but I use it so much to connect. I mean, hell, that's how we connected with Reagan. It's fascinating to go, but then I also know, based upon our listeners, that that's how some stay connected to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the podcast side of things, I would say that because, I'm probably, when I go to message someone, I'm not messaging them on the podcast account.
Right.
So,
Right. That's fair.
yeah. What happened with you said you had a little story there.
We'll get into that. I want to get back to,
okay.
I want to do the 30 weeks pregnant part, and then we'll get into my rant/story for the week. But, Reagan, we're recording here in the middle of July, and you said 30 weeks.
yes, I am 30 weeks pregnant. I am very terrified for this fall. Like I said, I am pretty much the main operator on our operation, and I always sit in the combine. The combine is mine unless I leave early for some reason. Like, that is my space. Nobody else goes in there. So we just got a new combine and a new McDon head, and hopefully those show up in like the next week or two so I can play with them and kind of have an idea. So when I talk the guy that's going to run it for me during bean harvest this year shows up, I kind of have an idea. But yes, so it was a long spring, to say the least, with morning sickness and waking up and just being completely drained from pregnancy. Also, like I said, my mom did all my chemicals for me this year, which was so nice. I wish I could do that every year. Just pull up with the sprayer. She hooked it all up, added my chemicals, and I went away to spray. But most of the time, I actually do get out and help her fill chemicals. But the plan is, after I have this baby at the end of September, is to bring him along with me in the cab for corn harvest.
Wow.
So it will be interesting, to say the least. I'm a little bit worried, but kind of excited, I guess.
That is dedication. There's no maternity leave in farming.
Uh-huh.
No.
So I
Which is hard because, like, I didn't tell my OB anything about, like, what I did, because I didn't want him to tell me, like, no, you can't spray because of, like, the chemicals, or, oh, you shouldn't be, like, climbing in and out of the tractor, you could fall, or, so to this day, I don't think he knows what I do for a living. He just thinks I'm a farm wife, so.
Until he listens to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
We get a lot of OBs.
So I was born at the end of August and was a teeny tiny baby, but I rode in the combine and the tractor with my mom and dad in a shoebox. So if the car seat doesn't fit, maybe you could bring your baby boy along in a shoebox and get to work.
How big were you?
I was 3 pounds 4 ounces.
Were you
14 ounces.
my
So you were
3 pounds
like
14
you were
ounces.
early then.
I was not early.
You were just small.
Yeah, didn't get the nutrition.
So you
that
were
I was
just
supposed
born
to.
small.
I was
You're
just
still small.
Born teeny.
You're born with it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is
scary.
tiny.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I had a
think
cousin
there's
that's
still.
like
I think
3
I still got a plaque in the Sioux City Hospital on the small babies wall. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
3 pounds you could just like hold in your palm.
Oh, Dad. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It fit right in Dad's hand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I didn't say it was a size 14 shoebox. It was
Size 10.
just a regular shoebox.
Oh my gosh, that's small. I actually was like doing research because, like, how do you bring a baby into a cab? Because one, they're not supposed to be in car seats longer than a couple hours a day, just due to like their lungs and development. They're not supposed to be laying down, or however they lay in a car seat. So I did find this like small car seat because I wanted a harness, a 3-point harness, because, you know, when you're combining corn, you're going a little bit quicker. And most of the time,
Sure.
those fields aren't like super smooth like they are in beans. So so I found like this one car seat that like lays flat, has a 3-point harness. So we're gonna get that and hopefully pray for the best. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's gonna be very interesting. The combine will be stopped in the middle of the field, and the grain cart operator is
Yeah.
going to be wondering.
Yeah.
Because it's going to always be the grain cart operator's fault. She's going to come on the radio and say, "I need another diaper."
The nice thing, I will say, I'm hoping the corn looks absolutely phenomenal up here. I'm very, very excited to see what these yield. I mean, everywhere around up here looks great. And we just got a bigger corn head, and so I'm kind of hoping it bushels high enough that, I'm the only one stopped and everybody else is running. So maybe it'll give me a little bit of downtime.
See, she was trying to outpace the cart. She's trying to
Right.
make the cart guy's job miserable.
Exactly.
What's an average, like what's a good year for corn yield up there?
She's in North Central South Dakota. I wrote that down
like by
because it
Faulkton
sounded funny.
area?
Further north.
Okay.
Further north.
Gotcha.
So, oh gosh, last year, I mean, we had good corn last year, and I would say probably we were around like that 180 on our non-irrigated stuff. I don't even remember what our irrigated stuff did last year. We had some fields doing closer to like that 200 on dry land. So I'm very excited, but we do farm like a long ways in between. Like we farm all the way up to like the North Dakota border, all the way down to Hovind, South Dakota, which is probably like an hour and a half, 2-hour drive from point A to point B.
Wow, that's a lot of road time.
So yeah, so there is definitely a good stretch in there that I do road quite a bit. So it just kind of depends where we're at, how long we've had. We've really spent a lot of time these last couple years into soil health and really probate. We have a guy that writes all our prescriptions now for fertilizer and have been really working on improving our soil health. So yeah, kind of
Very
just
nice.
depends.
180, 200 bushel corn up there. I don't know. I haven't heard the Dakotas chirp up much since the spring. I know they were a little cold and delayed in the spring, but last year there was a lot more complaining about certain things going on. So I think you guys got a good crop coming, just based on that.
Yeah, I would say soybeans, I mean, they're starting to come back around. We had some really odd, like uneven germination. Things were coming up super, super, super uneven up here. It did not look very good for a while. So, it'll be interesting to see how those do, though.
Right. Yeah, our beans around here, I think the smoke has affected them because soybeans are day length determinate, however, whatever. And I think that has the lack of sunlight has hurt them. I think it's helped the corn, but the soybeans, they're just now kind of filling the row. And normally we would be on 30-inch rows, we would fill the row, that week after the 4th.
Right.
And no, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical of bean yields.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things play out, especially, the growing year's just been weird. The smoke, the cooler than normal temperatures. I mean, we haven't had super hot days
No.
yet.
I mean, we've had some decent, but so, we're recording this mid-July. Next week's supposed to be upper 90s while trying to pollinate, so that won't be good.
I've got to get this swimwear off my computer. I need to stop looking at other guys'
Men's swimwear. He's not even looking at good swimwear. He's looking at men's.
But speaking of uneven germination, now I can lead into my story for the week. So I got a little garden in my backyard, a little raised garden. I make it in an L-shaped raised bed. Love to have tomatoes and potatoes and peppers and onions. Like making
You always say potatoes like that?
potatoes, tomatoes. Well, I have to because my daughters get them both mixed up.
Okay.
Dad, can we go pick potatoes? No, we're not going to go pick potatoes.
Okay.
We're going to pick tomatoes. Yes. And then decided this year for my girls that, you know what? I'm going to intercrop, and I'm going to plant sweet corn around my potato plants. So my potatoes are like they're right down the 30-inch row in the middle of them.
Yeah.
And I got sweet corn growing up on the outside of it. And I was working on podcasts, sitting on the back deck. Doorbell rings, and I go to the front door, and there's two men with earpieces. I'm not kidding you. Have earpieces, probably like a jawbone ear for probably your phone.
Yep.
Standing at my front door, and they, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm with this seed company. We need to go take a look at your garden. I'm like, what? So I'm caught off guard. We walk down to my garden, and they go, yeah, we've got a parent seed corn field that is less than a quarter mile away from your garden, and it's silking right now, and your sweet corn pollinating is going to cause us an issue. We need to detassel your sweet corn. Like that's what it was. It was, we need to detassel your sweet corn. So I didn't think much of it. I said, well, what? I'm not going to get sweet corn then. Obviously, we're talking like 20 plants. I mean,
Right.
it is not good-looking sweet corn. It's planted too close to the potatoes. It's not fantastic at all. But the fact that they wanted to detassel my sweet corn caught me off guard. So I'd let them, and I helped them detassel it, but was reflecting afterwards as to what the hell just happened, because it's almost 2.5 city blocks away is the cornfield, just starting to silk, and my 20 plants of sweet corn was enough to be on somebody's radar to knock on my door, ring my doorbell, and physically detassel my sweet corn.
Yeah. How did you think they actually knew you had sweet corn back there?
They
Did
said
they send a drone up?
They said that it was recorded. My corn was recorded when it was less than 12 inches tall, and they've been watching it since then.
What the heck? Satellite imagery?
I don't know. It's got to be something. I mean, I don't have a backyard fence.
I wonder what they would say. We actually plant sweet corn in our irrigated corn, so like we have sweet corn.
Yeah.
So yeah, we plant it with our. That is so.
But this is
parent
seed.
seed.
Oh, okay.
So- So it might be a little more strict, because I know
Yeah.
that there's setback for seed corn hybrids.
Yeah, it's like 660 feet, something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. So what'd you get out of it?
So they are supposed to bring us sweet corn. That's my compensation. So they didn't say they're going to bring me 4 ears or a dozen ears. They said that in a week they were going to bring us sweet corn.
But here's the deal: is like you could have said no.
Could
Completely.
I?
Like they have no authority. No authority.
So here's the interesting thing, Reagan. So I make a TikTok about this, and I church it up a little bit. I do make it sound like they were in black suits, like Men in Black, and they had the memory wiping device that if I said no, they were just going to wipe my memory. But everything else in that is factual. They ring the doorbell, they come down, we detassel. They set the tassels down next to my corn plants. And a lot of the comments are very conspiracy theorists.
Oh, really?
The difference between one, the airplane chemtrails, the white trails behind an airplane. Apparently in the sky there was like 11 of them that day. And
The vapor clouds.
They were talking about how maybe it was Monsanto, because it wasn't Monsanto, but everybody went straight to Monsanto in the comment section. And if you didn't say yes, they could have come in there with their lawsuits because you were ruining the genetic makeup of their product that is licensed. I mean, it was weird, the comment section in that TikTok.
So I'm just saying.
Do you live do you live in town or do you live outside of town?
He's in town.
Where do you live?
Yep, I live in town.
Why would they plant something like that near town?
He's on the edge of
Plant
town.
Gardens all the time.
Probably
but
because it's
still-
very secluded from large fields that actually could be a problem.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't know. When you think people have gardens all the time, I don't know why you would.
But what
a
poor planning
beaver-
by them, because when we used to do seed corn, you had to make sure everyone around you was going to be compliant, or you had to put in the setbacks yourself
Right.
before the seed went in the ground.
Right. So that's me, Reagan. I just texted you.
Oh, okay.
So that picture, the blue dot is my house. And the brown field to the right of that picture is where the seed corn is.
What I'm saying is you should have said no, because that parent corn, I guarantee you, is worth a lot of money.
Yeah, so you go to the comment section, and it is, what kind of crap? This is out of control. Monsanto, mother ag, and the government. Back to the USSR. Should have told them to pound sand or eat lead. I mean, it gets pretty
Jeez.
aggressive in this. Okay, maybe you would ruin their cross-pollinated crops and it would decline their inventory, but this still is ridiculous. You should have told them, no, get off my property. I mean, there are so many people that are saying that I should have defended my rights. And then there's about 10% of them that said I should have asked for cash compensation.
That's what I'm saying. I'm there. Sweet corn, anyone can go buy that.
Sure.
You're not getting the thrill of growing your own.
Yeah.
And I know what that crop is worth. So I think you should have got a lump sum.
Yeah. What kind of
Or you should have called
moron?
J.G. Wentworth.
What kind of moron allows them to have access to your property and destroy your crops? Yeah.
It's my money, and I want it now.
It is fascinating. But then, so Reagan, do you know the chemtrail conspiracy theory?
I've heard of it. I will say I am kind of slightly into conspiracy theories, like the really scary ones. But chemtrails and some of that stuff, I haven't gone down the rabbit hole too far into. So
I didn't know what it was, so I had to look it up. Do you know what it is?
No. Well, I know
Chemtrails?
it. I don't know. It's the things that come out of an airplane. It's the vapor trail that comes
But the
from burning
conspiracy
fuel.
is that that's chemicals. That's how they're controlling. That's how the government, are controlling the weather or controlling disease spread or are controlling. That is a very highly concentrated chemical that is meant to dilute over a region and have some type of an impact. So the fact that in that TikTok, there's literally a dozen crisscrossing chemtrails, people are going freaking nuts.
Oh, I got to show you something now. We got to send the Iowa DOT a bill for parking in our
that's
parking
funny.
lot. Hopefully they find some of the nails in that. Well, that's not our fault.
So yeah, Reagan, that was my event. So I'm home alone, two guys in neon Seed Company branded T-shirts and their headsets. Knock on my door, and I go back to my childhood days of detasseling in my own garden.
that is so odd. I just don't understand why they would do it though, so close to town or something. There's a lot of people that do gardens and stuff. Though,
Yeah.
So that's why I am so confused why they would do it.
Well, the other part of me is if they knew the corn was there from 12 inches tall,
Yeah.
Were they just
why
waiting?
They wouldn't have came earlier.
yeah, were they just waiting to see when it was pollinating?
Yeah, because that corn sucked nutrients from your potatoes. Potatoes.
And my potatoes.
Now
yes.
you're not going to get as good a crop.
I won't.
They could have destroyed it earlier. And they could have saved you the money of the seed and the labor and the time and all that.
Yeah. So I asked. I said, "So do I never get to plant, sweet corn again?" And they said, "Well, next year it's going to be soybeans." I was like, "Oh, well, great." So now I got to watch for when I'm pretty sure my sweet corn was planted before their corn was.
I think you should plant a lot more corn in 2 years. The whole backyard.
The whole front yard.
And the front yard. Yeah, kind of like the tall grass, in
Yep.
landscaping. It's just corn.
I love that.
Yeah, all the way around your house.
Just be like, yeah, I've got a...
Sorry, honey. We are actually putting corn up. We're pulling all the
Yes.
flowers out. We're pulling all the plants out. We're just putting corn this
Yeah.
year.
We used to do sunflowers. We're not doing sunflowers anymore.
I have an obsession with corn, and if you want me to destroy these, you are going to have to pay me. Get your neighbors to do it, too, and just
should.
rename
Whole
the
neighborhood.
street just like Corn Ave.
Corn Lane,
Corn Lane, yeah.
Cornview Lane.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. You could get that really tall ornamental corn.
We could.
It could really catch the breeze
wind.
and get over there. Yeah, yeah.
Look at us solving
where this is going.
solving the world's problems. So I made another spoof. It didn't do as well. I was taking the tassels that were on the ground now, and I was going to each silk and just tapping them on the silks. But we just recorded a podcast with Power Pollen and learned that it only lives for 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Pollen does not live for very long once it's created. So that obviously is not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But
Interesting.
so let's get back to Reagan, though. You said your dad, his name's Justin?
Yes, Justin Bieber. That is my dad's name, which ironically, he kind of knew that there was this singer kid in Canada, kind of when he was before he was discovered. He had just Googled his name one day People Google themselves. I would say
Yeah.
it's a normal thing. And he knew there was like this kid in Canada, and he posted YouTube videos. But then all of a sudden, I don't know why I even remember this. We were driving as like a family listening to Disney radio on XM, whatever. And this Justin Bieber name pops up. And so we're teasing my dad about it, whatever. And then he like blew up like really, really big. And I was really young at the time. I don't know what grade I was in. But then all of a sudden we started getting phone calls of like girls like screaming, wanting to talk to Justin Bieber because all of a sudden our phone number was leaked. And I mean like phone calls all hours of the day, all hours of the night. We eventually changed our phone number. We would get fan mail from like all over the world. Like Paris, I remember was one. Like, yeah, I don't know. So unfortunately, yes, his name is Justin Bieber. It's kind of gotten to the point. Well, now that I've changed my name, it isn't as bad. But like when I'd go fly and stuff, people would be like, "Oh, are you related to Justin?" And then you'd kind of go around like the circle of like, yes, but not in the way that you think. And so then eventually I just started saying yes because it was a lot easier just to go that way. And then people are like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool." So whether or not I'm actually related, I don't know. I like great if we are, great if we're not. I really haven't taken the time to look into it. So
I could see the phone calls being annoying,
Yeah.
but I think the fan mail would be cool.
That would be cool.
I mean, it's just basically girls like pouring their hearts out to Justin, and it was really cute at the time. Actually, when we were living out in Colorado, we got another one. So my parents lived in Colorado during like the winter months. Once I got into high school, and would just come back in like the summer months for farming. And yeah, started getting fan mail a little like here and there out there, and so then they started to like freak out again, thinking like, oh gosh, are we gonna have to move? Are we gonna have to change our number again? So luckily it hasn't like gone back to that, but yeah, it was a phase when Justin was really popping off there for a while.
Well, just so you know, we're going to put your address in the show notes. And
Yeah.
every listener, whether they like Justin Bieber or not,
This is Justin Bieber and Hannah Montana's address.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. So yes, Justin Bieber is a farmer as well as a singer. So
that's pretty good.
What was the point of going out to Colorado? A little easier weather for the wintertime?
yeah, so, since my dad is a quadriplegic, like obviously South Dakota winters are not very kind a lot of years. So they went out there to give my sisters and I kind of like a better opportunity as far as just school and opportunities to like experience more outside of like the small town that we were living in. And weather was a lot nicer out there in the winters. Snow kind of just seemed to melt as soon as it came down. So then they would come up right before planting. They'd be up here during all the planting. And we would come back after we got done with school and live up here in the summers. And then when everything was being harvested, they'd have somebody just stay with us out there. And they would be here for harvest. And I like joked with my parents because they had two houses. Just recently, they're selling their house in Colorado, and I was like, "You guys live in South Dakota like 3/4 of the year. I don't understand why you have this big, nice house in Colorado that you're there for 1 or 2 months out of the year." Because my younger sister lives in Florida now, so now they go spend a month of the year down in Florida. So. Yeah, so now they're downsizing now. I always joke that they're kind of hoarders because they like the whole storage unit thing, like storage unit auctions. They went through like this phase of buying like the storage units like you see in Storage Wars.
Yes.
And like buying things. So I always joke like they go through hoarding and purging processes because they like that stuff. So
My wife and I went through a phase of Storage Wars. I mean, we were
watching it or buying it?
we like came back from the bar one night or something and turned it on TV, and I think we stayed up like all night watching it. Like, what is this show? And then it just got so interesting. Just a little small face. It was a good show.
Oh, that's good.
Oh yeah, they were and this whole thing, they'd buy like one, and then the garage and the shop would fill up with just boxes, and that was like their fun little winter hobby, I guess you would call it, going to storage unit auctions.
It's the thrill of knowing you could find a safe with nothing in it, like we did.
Exactly.
So I'm still out here cruising your website, and I want to know how you get your models.
How I get my models?
Yeah.
Like, some of them are just like stock photos and mock-ups. I have not done a lot of photos in probably a couple months because this pregnancy is just not very fun and having the energy. So I will be doing some like photos of my sister when she gets here from Florida in the next couple weeks, and we'll like photograph my whole fall line. But she used to be my model that modeled everything for me, and now I just don't have that anymore.
So I've never even looked into the boutique world of, you asked how to get models. How do you get the clothes? Like, you're obviously not sitting there knitting them yourself. Like, is there a place you go, like, that wholesales these? Or maybe you have to trade secret. I don't know.
So some of them are, like, wholesale websites. Then, like, my own personal branded stuff, like the Cactus Brand stuff with, like, my patterns and my logos on it, are all stuff I work with a vendor into, like, creating them. So, going through ordering samples for like fabrics and stuff for like the swimwear, making sure nothing's like see-through and like everything's good quality. So there's a lot of sampling in that aspect, but the other like boutique type sweaters and stuff like that is all I find through wholesale vendors.
Okay.
So yeah.
Very cool. Wow, my wife loves boutiques, and it seems like there's 16 of them within 30 miles of our house. We live close to Des Moines, so like it's a metro area. So, I mean, what is there? There's one here in Slater or in Huxley, isn't there, Tanner?
Yep.
So it's crazy. It's all over the place.
That is wild. So after you know it's a boy, correct? You know you're having a son?
Yep.
So after you have this one, are you having more?
Oh boy, we already have a daughter. She will be 5 in September. So I personally am okay with 2. We've kind of gone back and forth about it, but it's definitely an up in the air thing. But now that we have one of both, I think both of us are very content and happy with that. So we'll see. I don't know if I fully enjoy being pregnant and farming at the same time, because you have a caffeine limit, and that is just not something I do well with. So
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's got a good point. Well, Reagan, this has been a blast. This was a very, very, very quick hour.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, and I feel like we only scratched the surface of you, but what a amazing story it is, how ambitious you are, the story of how your family works so well together. Your energy seems endless.
Even though you said it's not. Seems.
Thank you. Oh, I know. And the funny thing is, I feel so spread thin in my world, but then also my husband also farms separately from me in my family. He farms with his dad, and then he also does registered red Angus. So in the wintertime, also on top of that, I'm helping him with his bull sale stuff. And so we just did a whole online auction this last year. It was the first year online, and that was a whole nother process and avenue in itself. So between us two, we are just all over the place. So it's our daughter just kind of bounces between grandparents and us and cabs and daycare, and now she goes to school this fall. So,
Wow.
She is not one with a set schedule, I'll tell you that much.
Well, I'm looking forward to your answer to the payoff question that we have. We asked the same question to all of our guests during a time period. And the question we've been asking recently is, if you could go back to yourself at age 18, what would you go back and say?
Boy, honestly, that was like a really hard time for me in my life. And so I would probably just tell myself, you know, life is a lot bigger than you think it is at 18. There's a lot that can happen within a couple days, within a couple months. And everything works out for the greater good. Yeah, and as my dad always says, God always provides. So don't stress about anything too much. So
That's a good answer.
That is good. Man, I'm looking. You got backpacks too.
So
Are these computer backpacks? You got any? Gosh dang it! I just got a computer backpack.
All right. So for our listeners, if they want to follow you, either your brand or you on social media, how do they do that?
you can find me at Reagan_Bieber pretty much on any profile or platform, and the Cactus Brand is pretty much tagged under all of my profiles. So
That's very cool. I was excited for this interview, and you did not disappoint. So thank you for saying yes.
I'm glad you guys asked me. I hope I answered and was, I guess, entertaining enough.
Oh yeah,
Very cool. When you get a
loved
couple hats in stock,
Shoot
we
a
need
message.
we need some.
Yeah.
Wear them on the old
Yeah.
podcast.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much, listeners. We thank you also for listening. Corey, what do you say?
Crack a bush light. You deserve it.